Hello everyone, before we begin today's video, I need your help. We've noticed that the channel is losing traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can help us. It's quick, free, and allows us to continue bringing you great content. Your support means everything. Let's keep this channel growing collectively. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get back to the story. What an absolute idiot! The shout split the ballroom clean in two. Crystal chandeliers poured warm light over marble floors and white linen, turning every laugh into something that sounded expensive. In the center of it all stood Marcus Cole, 39, composed, phone pressed to his ear, wearing a black tuxedo that looked like it had been tailored with a ruler and a warning. Then the wine hit him. A full splash, dark red, struck his chest and bled across his white shirt in a wide, ugly bloom. It slid down his lapel, clung to the fabric, and dripped from his cuff like the room itself was helping the humiliation settle in. Marcus didn't flinch. Across from him, Chloe Danvers, 32, red satin dress catching chandelier light like a dare, held her empty glass up for a beat too long. Her smile was bright. Her eyes were sharp and sure. "Oh my God," she said, sweet as sugar. "Oops." Laughter rose in little bursts around her, warm and careless. Savannah Price, 30, in a white dress, lifted her phone immediately. Not to help. To capture. The lens locked onto Marcus as if the device had been waiting for a target. She tilted the frame so the stain filled the shot and his silence could be edited into guilt. Two men in tuxedos, Grant Mullins, 35, and Ethan Ross, 33, leaned back and laughed like they'd paid for the moment. Grant's laugh was loud enough to recruit nearby tables. Ethan covered his mouth like he was being polite, but his eyes sparkled with it. Marcus's forehead stung where he'd clipped it earlier, stepping out into the crush of arrivals, nothing dramatic, just a thin line at the hairline. Under Savannah's camera and the wine on his shirt, it looked like a story begging to be misunderstood. Chloe pointed at his chest as if the stain proved her point. "You can't just wander in here," she said, turning her voice up so the room could co-sign it. "This is a private event." Marcus watched her the way a surgeon watches a cut, calm, precise, already assessing damage and intent. The voice on his phone waited, quiet, professional, someone used to hearing him decide things. Savannah laughed behind her screen. "Look at him acting like he belongs." Grant nodded toward the security posted near the entrance with the casual entitlement of someone who'd never been told no. "Somebody handle this," he called, not lowering his voice. "Before he ruins the vibe." The nearest guard shifted, preparing to move. The room tightened subtly, heads turning, smiles sharpening, like it enjoyed watching someone get boxed in. Before we continue, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you believe in dignity and justice, hit like and subscribe. These stories spark change. And we're glad you're here. Now, back to Marcus Cole. Marcus finally spoke into the phone, voice low enough to belong only to the person on the other end. "Put the $350 million deal on hold," he said. "Freeze the signatures. Now." A pause. Then the voice returned, suddenly alert. "Understood." Chloe's smile flickered. "Excuse me," she snapped, stepping closer as if proximity could make her right. "Who are you even talking to?" Marcus didn't answer her. He listened, eyes steady, as the ballroom continued to glow beautiful, careless, confident right up until the moment it realized the wrong man had been chosen to entertain it. The word hold didn't echo. It traveled through glassware, through linen, through the kind of laughter that only exists when people think consequences are for someone else. Marcus kept the phone to his ear, listening to the brief silence on the other end turn into motion. "Marcus," the voice said carefully, "do you want a full freeze? Wire, signatures, everything?" Yes, Marcus replied. Put the wire on hold. No calls to them. Not yet. Grant tried to reboot his laugh. You hear this guy, he said to Ethan, loud enough for a nearby table to join. He thinks he's in a movie. Ethan's smile held for a second too long, then thinned as he studied Marcus's posture, how steady he was, how he didn't look around for approval. There was no drunk sway, no desperate performance. Just a man in control of his breathing. Savannah kept filming, but her wrist stiffened. She'd expected anger, pleading, embarrassment, something easy to clip, easy to caption. Instead, Marcus stood there like the room was auditioning. The wine stain darkened, drying at the edges. It clung to his shirt like a label somebody had tried to slap on him. Marcus spoke into the phone again, quieter. Send the updated term sheet to my attorney. And notify compliance, this is a conduct issue. Understood, the voice said. Do you want the board looped in? Marcus didn't answer immediately. He watched Chloe's face, the way her confidence came from the room backing her without question. He'd seen it in bank lobbies, in airport lounges, in hotel check-ins, the unspoken rule that a black man could be successful and still be treated like an intruder. Chloe stepped closer again, voice sharpening. You're done here, she said. I don't care who you're calling. Savannah laughed behind her phone. Seriously, who does he think he is? Grant's chin lifted toward security. Now, he called, like he was ordering another drink. Derek, the guard, early 40s, moved in with professional calm. He didn't look cruel. He looked employed. His eyes went to the stain, then to Marcus's face, then to Chloe reading the hierarchy like a map. Sir, Derek said politely, I'm going to need you to come with me. Marcus turned his head toward him, calm, not challenging. Before you touch me, Marcus said, ask her one question. Derek hesitated. Sir. Ask her, Marcus repeated, if she knows who's funding the Harbor Point acquisition. The name landed wrong in the party air, too specific, too corporate, too real. Grant frowned. What the hell are you talking about? Chloe scoffed, but there was a micro stutter behind it. This isn't about you, she snapped. This is a private event, and he doesn't belong. Marcus didn't fight the insult. He let it sit there like evidence. His phone buzzed, bank confirmation sliding across the screen, wire hold initiated. He didn't show it. He didn't need to. Because the shift was already happening. It always happened the same way, first the laughter, then the confusion, then the fear of being on the wrong side of a decision. Marcus took half a step to the side, creating space without retreating. Derek, he said evenly, I understand your job. But you're being used. Derek's hands lowered slightly, instinct kicking in. A man who speaks like that is not a man you drag. Marcus spoke into the phone again. Also, get me the sponsor sheet and attendance roster. Tonight. Already working on it, the voice replied. Chloe's voice rose, brittle. Stop pretending you have power in here. Marcus looked at her as if she'd said something childish. Who told you this room belongs to you? He asked. Chloe opened her mouth to answer, sharp, rehearsed. But near the edge of the ballroom, a man in a black suit turned, smile fading. Richard Harlow, 54, the host. The organizer. The one who'd been glowing all night because the deal was supposed to close after dessert. His gaze locked onto Marcus's wine-soaked shirt. Richard's face drained fast. And he started walking toward them like he'd just seen the future tilt. Richard Harlow didn't run. He moved the way a man moves when he's trying not to look desperate in front of donors who can smell panic. Fast, controlled, eyes locked on the problem before it became a headline. Marcus watched him cut through the room, nodding at guests he didn't see, brushing past laughter that had already started to thin. The chandeliers kept glowing. The violins kept playing. But the air shifted subtle, wrong, like someone turned the temperature down without touching a dial. Chloe noticed Richard and smiled like she'd summoned reinforcement. "Richard," she called, bright and loud. "Perfect timing. We've got an issue." She pointed at Marcus again, as if he were a stain that needed scrubbing. "This man isn't supposed to be here," she announced. "He's causing a scene." Savannah swung her phone toward Richard, hungry for the moment the host agreed. Grant leaned in with a half-laugh. Ethan stayed quiet, tracking Richard's expression like a stock chart. Derek shifted his weight, caught between instructions and instinct. Richard arrived close enough to see the wine clearly. His eyes darted to Marcus's calm, then to Chloe's smugness, then to Savannah's recording lens. "Chloe," Richard said, not smiling, "what happened?" "It was an accident," Chloe said quickly, and the speed of it sounded like strategy. "I bumped into him, and she glanced at Marcus like he was a prop. "He's refusing to leave. He's not on the list." Marcus didn't correct her. "Not yet." Grant stepped forward. "We're trying to keep this clean," he said, laugh thinning into irritation. "He's disrupting things." Ethan murmured, "Private fundraiser," like it was a magic phrase. Marcus felt Savannah's camera like heat. Not just recording, framing. If the clip went out wrong, the truth wouldn't matter. The image would. Richard's eyes stayed on Marcus longer now, recognition trying to surface without making itself obvious. Chloe misread it as hesitation. She stepped closer to Richard, voice dropping into a confident hiss. "Handle it," she said. "We can't have random people walking in and making threats about deals." Richard's jaw clenched. He glanced at Derek. Then at Savannah's phone. Then back at Marcus. "Derek," Richard said carefully, "don't touch him." Chloe's head snapped. "What?" Richard didn't answer her right away. He kept his eyes on Marcus, voice tightening with urgency. "Marcus," he said, as if testing the name in open air, "can we talk, privately?" The laughter didn't die. It evaporated. Savannah's phone dipped an inch, catching something she hadn't planned for, fear, on the wrong faces. Richard angled his body to make it look like event management, not damage control. His smile tried to return, but it couldn't find a place to sit. "Marcus," he said again, softer, "please. Just a quick word." Chloe's expression twisted, shock turning to outrage. "You know him," she demanded, too loud, too sharp. Grant's grin was gone. Ethan's throat bobbed as he swallowed. Savannah steadied her phone, because the story had changed and she wanted to own the flip. Marcus didn't move toward Richard immediately. He let the silence stretch long enough for Chloe to feel it, long enough for the room to sense there were rules here it didn't understand. Derek stood awkwardly near Marcus, hands lowered now, caught between orders. Chloe stepped into Marcus's space like she could physically reclaim control. "He threatened the deal," she told Richard, voice shaking with disbelief. "He's making things up." "He's not." Richard's gaze flicked to the wine stain again, then to Savannah's lens, then back to Marcus. "Chloe," Richard said, "careful, go back to your table." Chloe laughed once, short and offended. "No. I'm not leaving until he's escorted out." She turned on Derek. "Why are you standing there? Remove him." Derek hesitated. Marcus looked at Derek's nameplate and spoke gently, but with a warning built in. "Derek," Marcus said, "if you put hands on me in front of witnesses because someone told you to, you'll be the only one here who loses a job tonight." The second guard nearby stiffened. Derek's eyes narrowed, not in anger, in calculation. "Sir," Derek said quietly, "I'm trying to keep this peaceful." "So am I," Marcus replied. Chloe snapped, "Stop calling him sir." A couple of guests at the nearest table shifted, suddenly uncomfortable. A woman in pearls looked down into her drink like it could protect her from the truth of the sentence. Richard stepped closer to Marcus, voice dropping. "Marcus, I didn't realize you'd arrived." Chloe's head jerked. "Arrived? Like he's invited?" Marcus held Richard's gaze. "You said you wanted to talk privately." Richard nodded quickly. "Yes. Please." Chloe tried to block them, arm out like a velvet rope. "No. Whatever this is, it's happening here." Marcus didn't argue. He didn't plead. He spoke like a man stating policy. "If we talk here," Marcus said, "your guests will hear terms you don't want public." Richard's face tightened, realizing the donors, sponsors, and press-adjacent phones were all within earshot. "Derek," Richard said, firmer now, "clear a path. Not escort him out. Clear a path." Derek nodded, relief and caution mixed together. He moved guests gently aside without touching Marcus, like he was guiding traffic away from a collision. Chloe's mouth fell open. "Richard." Richard didn't look at her. "Not another word," he said, low and dangerous. Marcus walked with Richard toward a side corridor lined with white orchids and discreet staff doors. The ballroom noise softened behind them, replaced by carpet hush and the faint hum of hidden logistics. At the threshold, Richard finally exhaled, then turned to Marcus with a voice tight enough to snap. "Tell me," Richard said, "how bad is this?" Marcus glanced at his vibrating phone. A new message glowed. "Legal, signature freeze confirmed. Your authority is final." Marcus looked back up at Richard, eyes steady. "Bad," he said softly. "That depends on what you do next." The corridor smelled like orchids and chilled air, clean, expensive, designed to make problems disappear before they reached the public room. Richard stopped near a service alcove where staff moved like shadows and never made eye contact. He turned to Marcus, forcing his voice into something steady. "Tell me what you want," Richard said. "Because I can fix this." Marcus looked down at his stained shirt. The wine had dried unevenly, dark against the white. Not a disaster, just a message someone had tried to write on him in public. "I'm not here to be fixed," Marcus said. "I'm here to decide whether you deserve to do business with me." Richard's jaw tightened. "We've been working toward this for months. Harbor Point is funded by my capital," Marcus cut in, soft but final. "And your executives just demonstrated how they treat people they believe have no leverage." Richard tried to pivot. "Chloe doesn't represent." Marcus lifted a hand. "A boundary." "She wasn't alone," Marcus said. "There was laughter. There was a camera. And there was security waiting for permission to make me disappear." Richard's phone buzzed. He ignored it. Then it buzzed again. He checked it and went pale. Marcus didn't need to see the screen. When money stops moving, everyone suddenly remembers manners. "I can make calls," Richard said quickly. "I can get Chloe to apologize. I can get Savannah to delete the footage." "You can't delete what already happened," Marcus said. "You can only show me what you do when it costs you." Richard's voice dropped to a plea. "Marcus, please. The deal." "The deal is not a favor," Marcus replied. "It's a partnership. And partnership requires trust. Silence stretched between them, filled with distant music and the muted clink of glasses. Then Marcus's phone rang. He answered. Yes. A woman's voice came through, controlled, unmistakable. Marcus, this is Elaine Hart. I just got alerted about a signature freeze. I'm at the event. Where are you? Richard's face changed at the name. Recognition hit him hard. Elaine Hart, late 50s, was the kind of authority who didn't need introductions. People adjusted their careers around her tone. Service corridor, Marcus replied. East side. By the orchids. I'm coming, Elaine said. Do not move. The call ended. Richard stared at Marcus like the floor had shifted again. Dr. Hart is here? Marcus nodded once. Now you understand the size of what happened. Footsteps approached, measured, confident. Staff instinctively flattened themselves against the walls. Elaine appeared in black, silver hair sharp against the corridor's pale light. Her eyes landed first on Marcus's wine-stained shirt. Then on Richard. What, Elaine asked calmly, did you allow your people to do? Richard tried to speak. Elaine, it was. Elaine lifted one finger and ended the sentence before it could lie. I saw Savannah filming, she said. I heard Chloe's voice from across the room. Her gaze didn't blink. And I know Marcus Cole doesn't put a $350 million signature on hold over a misunderstanding. The corridor went still. Marcus didn't smile. He didn't need to. Elaine turned slightly toward him. Are you all right? I'm fine, Marcus said. Elaine nodded once, then faced Richard fully. Bring Chloe, Elaine said. Bring the ones who laughed. And bring the security supervisor. Richard swallowed. We can handle this privately. Elaine's tone stayed calm, but the temperature dropped. No, she said. They made it public. Elaine didn't wait for permission. She walked back into the ballroom like the building owed her silence. Richard followed, shoulders tight, sending rapid messages that looked like prayers. Marcus trailed behind them, stain still visible at his collar. He didn't hide it. Because tonight wasn't about image. It was about evidence. They stepped into the ballroom and the room felt it before it understood it. Conversations thinned. Smiles shrank. Chairs shifted like people were trying to move themselves out of responsibility. Chloe stood near the center, red dress bright as arrogance. Savannah hovered beside her, phone lower now, grip uncertain. Grant and Ethan stood close, suddenly careful with their hands. Elaine stopped 3 steps from Chloe. You, Elaine said calmly. Chloe blinked, then tried to smile. Dr. Hart, hi, this is a misunderstanding. We had an uninvited guest and... Elaine's gaze slid past Chloe and landed on Savannah's phone. Were you recording a man being humiliated? Elaine asked. Savannah's lips parted. I was just... Elaine waited. Silence did the rest. Savannah lowered the phone fully. Chloe jumped in. He threatened the deal. He was acting. Marcus stepped forward 1 pace. Chloe's words caught. Her eyes searched Marcus's face for a version of him she could dismiss. She didn't find it. Elaine addressed the room without theatrics. For anyone confused, she said, Marcus Cole is not a guest you remove. Grant forced a laugh that sounded painful. Okay, come on. Who is he, really? Marcus looked at Richard. "Say it," Marcus said softly. Richard's throat fought him. "This is Marcus Cole," he managed. "Managing partner at Cole Meridian Capital." A ripple moved through the room, delayed recognition. A sponsor froze mid-sip. Someone whispered, "That's the fund." Chloe's smile cracked. "That's not." Marcus lifted his phone just enough for Chloe, Richard, and Elaine to see. A clean term sheet. A signature block. A highlighted line, Funding Authority, Final Approval, Marcus Cole. Below it, signature freeze confirmed. Chloe stared as if the letters were moving. Marcus spoke quietly, forcing her to lean into the truth. "You threw wine on the person who decides whether your $350 million closes," he said. "And you did it smiling." Chloe's mouth opened. No sound came out. Grant's face drained. Ethan looked at the floor. Savannah's eyes flicked, calculating whether deleting footage could erase what the room already witnessed. Elaine stepped forward, voice level. "Did you call him a stranger?" Elaine asked Chloe. Chloe swallowed. "I didn't know." "That's the point," Elaine said. Marcus turned to Richard. "The deal is on hold as of this moment," he said. "Unless we draft an amendment tonight, with conditions." Richard's voice broke. "Marcus, please." Marcus raised one finger. "A boundary." "Public apology," Marcus said. "Not to protect me, so everyone here understands what dignity costs." He looked at Savannah. "That video gets secured. Not deleted. Delivered to legal tonight." Then back to Richard. "Executive conduct clause tied to the acquisition. Violate it, you're out. No severance." The ballroom stayed silent because power had moved without a single shout. Chloe tried to take control the only way she knew, by turning remorse into a performance. "Marcus, I'm sorry," she said, hands half raised. "You have to understand, I was protecting the event." "You were protecting your comfort," Marcus replied. "Not the event." Grant stepped forward, panic dressed as confidence. "Let's not make this bigger than it is," he said, forcing a laugh. "She didn't mean anything by it. People are." Elaine's head turned slowly toward him. "Sensitive," she repeated. Grant's smile collapsed. "I'm just saying." "You're just saying what you say when you think you'll never be held accountable," Elaine finished. Savannah's thumb moved fast across her screen, too fast. The phone dimmed like she was trying to erase the last 10 minutes with a swipe. "Don't," Marcus said, quiet and final. Savannah froze. Elaine extended her hand. "Give me the phone." Savannah hesitated, looking to Chloe. Chloe offered nothing now, only fear, only self-preservation. Richard's voice cut in, strained. "Savannah. Now." Savannah surrendered the phone, placing it into Elaine's palm like it burned. Elaine handed it to a staff member in black. "Secure it. Don't delete anything. Deliver it to legal tonight." That sentence, simple, procedural, hit the room harder than any insult had. It meant this wasn't gossip. It was record. Chloe whispered, "This is humiliating," and the selfishness of it landed like another splash. Marcus turned to Richard. "Public apology," he said. "Now." Richard flinched. "Donors are here. Press." "Then choose," Marcus said. "Your image, or your integrity." Richard looked around, at sponsors, at faces suddenly terrified of being associated with Chloe's smile, at guests quietly pocketing phones as if that erased what they'd recorded in their minds. He nodded once. "Chloe," he said tightly, "you're apologizing. Right now." Chloe stared like he'd betrayed her. "You're not serious." "I'm very serious," Richard said. Derek hovered near the edge of the circle, posture rigid with discomfort. He cleared his throat, voice low. "Sir," Derek said to Marcus, "I didn't touch you. But I should have asked questions sooner. I'm sorry." Marcus met his eyes. "Thank you," he said. "Don't let them turn your job into their weapon." Elaine's gaze swept the room. "Security supervisor," she said. A man appeared as if he'd been standing inside the walls. Elaine spoke without drama. "Statements," she said. "Tonight. From everyone involved." Grant tried one last angle. "We're going to lose the deal over a drink?" Marcus looked at him with a calm that weighed more than anger. "No," Marcus said. "You're going to lose it over character." Elaine nodded toward a side door. "Conference room," she said. "Now." And the ballroom, still glittering, still expensive, watched Power walk away from the dance floor and into a room where consequences were written in ink. The conference room was a different kind of luxury, no chandeliers, no laughter, no perfume hiding intent. Just matte walls, a long table, and silence that cost money. Elaine took the head seat. Richard sat beside her like a man trying to keep his company from bleeding out. Grant and Ethan sat stiff-backed. Chloe arrived last, red dress now looking less like power and more like evidence. Marcus sat across from them, stains still visible. He didn't change shirts. He didn't hide what they'd tried to do to him. His attorney entered quietly and placed a slim folder on the table, paper that didn't need to shout. Richard cleared his throat. "Marcus, we're prepared to make this right." "Then you'll do it in writing," Marcus said. Elaine tapped the folder once. "This isn't about saving face," she said. "It's about correcting what your company has normalized." Grant shifted. "We're here, aren't we?" "You came because the money stopped moving," Marcus replied. "Don't confuse that with character." The attorney opened the folder and slid pages forward. "Amendment to acquisition terms," the attorney said. "Executive conduct clause. Immediate termination for documented discriminatory conduct connected to company events or operations. No severance." Chloe inhaled sharply. "That's extreme." "So was throwing wine on someone you decided didn't belong," Marcus said. Chloe's lips trembled. "I said I was sorry." "You were sorry you chose the wrong target," Marcus replied. "That's different." Silence settled, heavy, honest. The attorney continued. "External oversight, training and compliance will be overseen by an independent firm selected by Cole Meridian Capital. Quarterly reporting. Audit rights." Grant's frustration surfaced. "So you get to run our company now?" Marcus didn't blink. "No. You get to keep running it under rules that stop you from treating people like disposable props." Elaine leaned forward. "And there will be a pipeline fund." Richard blinked. "A fund?" Marcus nodded. $5 million. Scholarships and paid internships for underrepresented talent in finance, legal, and operations. Not charity. Pipeline. Ethan finally looked up, voice quiet. "That'll be public." "Yes," Marcus said. "Accountability doesn't work in the dark." Chloe tried to shift heat. "What about Savannah?" She filmed. It wasn't just you, Marcus said evenly. That's why this isn't a single apology. It's culture correction. Marcus nodded toward the door. Bring Derek in. Derek stepped inside, posture respectful. Marcus faced him. You did what you thought your job required, Marcus said. But your job should never require you to enforce someone else's prejudice. Derek nodded. Understood, sir. Marcus slid a card across the table. If you ever want a post where you're not used as a threat, call that number. Derek's eyes widened. He nodded once, gratitude contained by professionalism. Chloe watched the exchange like it offended her. Because it wasn't revenge. It was redistribution. Marcus turned back to Richard. Tonight you signed the amendment and the wire authorization. Full execution happens in the morning. And tomorrow, you will explain to your executives why dignity is not optional. Richard's hands shook as he reached for the pen. The night had started with wine and laughter. Now it came down to ink, silence, and a man they tried to erase, making them write a better world into the contract. Richard signed first. The pen scratched across paper in a quiet room, and it sounded louder than the ballroom ever had. One signature, then another, each stroke a surrender of the old rules. Elaine watched without blinking. Marcus watched without gloating. When Richard slid the folder back, his fingers lingered on the edge as if he could hold the consequences in place. It's done, Richard said, voice hoarse. Marcus nodded once. Then we return. They walked back into the ballroom like a different kind of procession, no triumph, no rage, only inevitability. The chandeliers still burned warm. The strings still played. But the room had changed its posture. People who had laughed earlier now avoided Marcus's gaze, as if eye contact could turn them into witnesses. Chloe stood near the stage, red dress bright but powerless. Grant and Ethan hovered behind her, suddenly quiet. Savannah stood farther back with empty hands, her phone gone, her weapon removed. Elaine took the microphone from the MC with the ease of someone who doesn't ask. This event will pause for 1 minute, she said. We have something to correct. A ripple moved through the crowd. Chairs shifted. Glasses stopped clinking. Richard stepped forward, swallowing hard. He didn't smile. Tonight, Richard said, someone was publicly humiliated in this room. And it happened because we allowed a culture where assumptions and entitlement replace dignity. He turned toward Marcus. Marcus Cole is the managing partner of Cole Meridian Capital, Richard continued. His firm is the funding authority behind HarborPoint. But that is not why I'm speaking. Richard looked out at the room again, jaw tight. I'm speaking because what happened was wrong. Chloe's breath hitched. Elaine nodded once, permission granted, nothing more. Chloe stepped forward. For the first time, she looked smaller than her dress. I threw wine on you, Chloe said, voice thin but steadying under the weight of the room. I spoke to you like you didn't belong. I assumed you were less than me. The honesty made people flinch. I'm sorry, Chloe said. There is no excuse. Marcus didn't nod. He didn't smile. He simply held her gaze long enough for her to understand that apology wasn't an eraser, it was a beginning. Elaine took the microphone again. Tomorrow morning, she said, the amended terms go into full execution. They include enforceable executive conduct clauses, external audits, and a $5 million pipeline fund, scholarships and paid internships, because opportunity should not depend on who feels comfortable in a room. Grant stared at the floor. Ethan's shoulders sagged. Savannah's eyes darted, counting witnesses. Derek stood near the wall, quiet and upright. Marcus caught his eye and gave him a small nod, recognition, not rescue. Marcus stepped forward, not to grandstand, but to close the moment with the calm that had unsettled them from the start. "I didn't come here to be announced," Marcus said. "I came here to see who you are when you think nobody important is watching." His voice stayed level. "Tonight, you showed me," he continued. "And tonight, you agreed, in ink, that it will change." He paused, letting the room sit with a truth it couldn't edit: dignity was never optional. Marcus turned away first. He walked out under chandeliers that no longer felt warm, past tables that suddenly looked less like power and more like people trying to rehearse decency. Outside, the air was cold and clean. He loosened his tie one notch, not because he was tired, but because the pressure had moved off his throat and onto theirs. Behind him, the music resumed. The party continued. But the room would never be the same. Not because Marcus shouted. Because he didn't.